He charged me with resisting arrest.
Get that confidence in jail.
I object.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Allegedly Bravo. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Cash. Hello.
Am I Cash? It sounded like a question. We're out of sorts today.
Out of sorts.
Are we out of sorts every day?
No, I think it's the weather. We've been hit with a cold front here,
Okay.
as have you.
Yeah.
And I think just the chill in the air is causing a migraine. I feel disoriented. I just want to sleep.
Listen, I totally feel you. After this, I'm going to go run outside. I'm going to make a snow angel. And then I'm going to come back. I'm going to shower. And then I'm just going to chill. Put on the fire and just chill.
Tell everybody, how much snow have you gotten in the last 24 hours?
We got like over a foot of snow. One of our family members got over 21 inches of snow. I'm like, what the fuck? So last night I went out for a walk in it because I'm like, totally new to snow. So I'm like excited to go out there. And I was walking down the stairs and to go out to the curb. And while I was going down the stairs, I didn't remember where the steps were, how many there were, and I couldn't see them. Boy, did I go flying. And I was just laying there on the sidewalk, in almost a foot of snow, oops, with not a soul around because it was 1 a.m. Everyone was asleep.
It's nuts that this is your first big snow.
I know. I've never had an experience like this before. I love it.
I can't wait to see your snowman that you create.
Yeah, me too. I think it'll be cute, I'm sure.
You should make it like a Joe Gorga or something.
Oh my God.
Or you could make it a Mohamed Hadid, who we will be talking about today.
That is so true. We are talking about Mohamed Hadid. Wow. I never thought we'd finally get to this episode.
I'm very surprised by a lot of things that we've discovered in our research. And there is an update. There was a settlement that happened. Not a settlement, I'm sorry. There was a verdict that was rendered in one of his lawsuits that we will get to and update you all on. But there's a lot of other fun facts that I don't think were really known by the general public.
Ooh, I agree. There was so much that I learned while doing this research. And I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts, feelings, and emotions about it.
I can't wait to hear. But before we get in, is there any other updates? Any life updates? Any things you've been watching updates?
Gosh, yeah. I mean, I watched the Sex and the City reboot. Fucking Loserville.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
That's one of my criminal behaviors.
Okay, we'll save it then. Because
I can't.
that just... Oh, you want to talk about... Should we just do a criminal behavior now? Because I would agree with you 100% on this.
You know what? We can do it now because I don't want my phone to die and I forget all the things that I wrote for my criminal behavior for the Sex and the fucking City recap thing. Okay. First of all, it started for me, this whole journey of all my criminal behaviors comes from the Peloton ride I did the other day. And I could not click out of my shoes at all. I could not get out of the thing. And George Glass was downstairs having a meeting. So I couldn't even be can you twist my foot? I was fucking stuck. So one criminal behavior is how hard it is to get in and out of those shoes, which makes me wonder how the fuck Big got out of his shoes. I almost guarantee you it wasn't the ride that gave him the heart attack. It was nearly dying on there with his foot in the shoe.
Yeah, the unclipping portion.
Yes. Oh my God. It's so difficult. Okay. And then also is Carrie not giving up her rent controlled apartment in New York City? Because
we haven't visited. We haven't seen that yet because I think in the Sex and the City movies she was still holding on to it, right? Or did she finally sell it?
No, I think she still has it because her friends, I can't remember their name. The guy who's bald and dresses up nicely and
Stanford,
thank you. When he was like, "Oh, I need to stay at your old apartment," I'm like, whoa. You mean to tell me that you're living in a fucking penthouse like mansion and you still have your rent controlled apartment? Like, I think that's trashy. So that's a criminal behavior. Also, the fact that we know that he has nitroglycerin pills for his angina pectoris issues.
I hate the word angina. Like,
I know, I do too.
It's not a fitting word for what it is, you know?
I know, it's really not. And it's like, no one ever is like, oh, you're penile heart issues. You know? It's just weird. I don't know. But like, I'm sorry, but she didn't even run and get one of those pills. Like,
I was so deeply offended when she walked in and she sees him slumped over with the shower running, clearly not a normal position to be sitting in, and looks at him and goes, "John?" And then he grabs his heart and like keels over, falls over. And then she screams again and runs over and just stands there and holds him. It's like, call 911.
Do 911. Do anything.
And I just was not prepared for it. We heard rumors that somebody was going to die. I assumed it was going to be big, but I was not prepared for it in that fashion. Like, I thought he was going to be driving to the Hamptons and get in a car accident and die. We wouldn't physically see him die.
Oh.
And so when he died on camera, I cried. Sobbed like a little baby.
I did too. And then the whole episode too, I cried and sobbed like a little baby. And here's the deal. I better not be fucking crying and sobbing like a baby in episode 3. If we're going to reboot this without Samantha, at least don't destroy me mentally as well.
I think that's why they strategically released the 2 episodes, both episodes back to back, to let everyone
cope,
experience the heartbreak. And then I hope the season's going to pick up and be lighthearted moving forward. My biggest complaint, besides Big dying, is the sex scenes of Brody and like the making out.
That's literally my next one. I go, the sex scenes with Miranda's 15-year-old son and his 15-year-old girlfriend.
It's so gross. And like the lack of discipline. Like, the fact that like
she got so pissed that he was smoking pot, but not so pissed that she's like literally slipping on his birth control. I don't get it.
His soggy condom.
Ugh, I mean, that is so disgusting. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, we didn't need to see that. At some point, it's CP. Like, I don't need to see it.
Amen. Well,
we didn't need it.
We didn't need it, and I hope that the series picks up and is a little bit more lighthearted moving forward.
I agree.
And it was just sad, too, because Stanford dies in real life, and so to see him kind of mourning the loss of Big and being there for Carrie and then knowing that he's dead was just hard. But anyways, we could go on and on for hours about this.
We could. We literally could. But we're not going to. We'll only go on for 9 minutes, and now we'll talk about Mohamed Hadid. I swear
You guys. This was shocking. And I think one of the most shocking things is in his earlier career. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to do a little bit of background and then you can go into his early career phase. So Mohamed Hadid, Jordanian American real estate developer. He's obviously was married to Yolanda Hadid, the father of Anwar Hadid, Gigi Hadid, and Bella Hadid. And he's also known for his luxury hotels and mansions. And just a little bit of background on him. He was born in Nazareth. He's a descendant from the Prince of Nazareth and the Sheikh of Galilee on the mother's side. Is that how you say that?
Oh, you're totally not a Catholic. The Sheikh of Galilee.
Oh, Galilee. I am a Catholic. That's embarrassing.
Uh-oh.
Went to Catholic school. And then, so as I think a lot of you guys know, that he fled Palestine during 1948, and the Hadid family are very pro-Palestine. Bella Hadid is a very vocal activist because her father fled the Palestinian exodus, and that's when he became a refugee in Syria. Mohammed's father studied law and worked as a teacher. And in Syria, I'm sorry, can we cut that?
Yeah.
Let me restate it. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. And so they were refugees of Syria. Mohammed's father then went on to study law. He was a teacher. And the family then lived in Damascus, Tunisia, Greece. They finally moved to Washington, D.C. And he worked as the Voices of America headquarters as an editor, writer, and translator. I'm sorry, that was Mohammed's father. And then Mohammed went to North Carolina State University and, drumroll please, MIT.
Yes. However, I believe he didn't get a degree from either.
But still,
but you know what? To get there, I mean, I'm just saying. Interesting fact is that I don't think he got a degree from either. But like, that is so an interesting fact. Like,
my jaw hit the floor.
What a smarty pants. You know, I was watching this YouTube video also of like going through his house and like getting a house tour. And
of which house?
He had the first one that we saw on Beverly Hills. Yeah.
Where they do the kind of Middle Eastern party, right?
Yeah, the Moroccan party.
Yes.
Yeah. And there were all these like literally gorgeous paintings, like a self-portrait, a portrait of his then fiance, whose name is totally Shiva, sorry. And like all these landscape paintings, like the kinds you see in the museums, okay? And he painted all of them.
Well, his house is basically a museum.
But he painted them. Like, he's an artist. He's an artist.
I'm shook.
A full-on artist.
I'm shook.
Okay, so when Mohammed left college or decided he wanted to move on from the education process, he started a company that exported equipment to the Middle East. Like, I don't know, all kinds of equipment. He also sold and restored classic cars in Washington, D.C. I mean, just an artistic, like, jack of all trades.
Yeah, very entrepreneurial. Makes sense why he's so successful. He was just moving and grooving at a young age.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So then he moved to Greece, where he opened up a nightclub. And with the money that the nightclub earned, Mohammed started developing real estate in the United States. And in the 1980s, many of his real estate ventures were 50-50 partnerships with the SAAR Foundation, which is named after its founder, which is like a Saudi patriarch. So he was doing business, like 50-50 business, like with the Saudi royal family.
And just racking in money, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure. So, this foundation that he would work with all the time was dissolved in December of 2000. And then it was raided, like the people who were a part of the foundation were raided by federal agents a la the bus at Beauty Lab and Laser, as part of a federal operation called Operation Green Quest. The way they name these just cracks me up.
I know.
So Operation Green Quest was a raid that was carried out because the U.S. Treasury Department suspected that the SAR Foundation was laundering money for Al-Qaeda and other terrorist groups. Whoopsies.
I mean, that's heavy.
That's a bad touch.
That's a little dark, you know, and that's going to probably be one of the darker things with Mr. Hadid's.
Is it? I think there's even more. But you know what? What's darker than a terrorist? Not much.
I was going to say, to be funding a terrorist organization that has now reclaimed Afghanistan.
I know.
Not great. Okay,
great.
so now we're moving on into like the late 80s. And so Mr. Hadid is just rolling in the dough, right? So of course, with money comes lawsuits. So Mr. Hadid has at least 30 lawsuits from creditors and banks, a la Tom Girardi.
Yep, there you go.
But it seems like he really maneuvered these lawsuits fairly well. Like, I don't think he lost a lot of money because at one point he paid over $150 million for the Ritz-Carlton in Washington and New York. He converted a Houston hotel into the Ritz-Carlton and then developed another Ritz-Carlton in Scottsdale, Arizona. And, you know, something that really surprises me about that sentence is that there's a Ritz-Carlton in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Oh my God. I thought the same thing when I read that. I was like, I mean, I guess the desert needs a Ritz too.
Like,
what are we doing in Scottsdale?
When I think of Ritz, I think of Beverly Hills. I think of New York, San Francisco, Miami. I don't think Scottsdale, Arizona. Like, that gives me more of a La Quinta vibe than a Ritz-Carlton vibe.
Totally. I totally feel that.
So
it's an odd choice.
It is an odd choice. But another fun fact about this kind of business venture that he's in with flipping and building properties is that one thing he is kind of known for in his business ventures is for outmaneuvering Trump by purchasing land in Aspen and announcing to build another Ritz-Carlton. And perfect, Aspen, a great place to have a Ritz.
That's
correct?
a great place for a Ritz.
Beautiful. And so Trump, I guess, was planning to purchase the land and build a Trump hotel. And he had put $17.5 million down, thinking no one would challenge him on the bid. I mean, classic, right?
Mm-hmm. Classic.
And then Hadid had found out that there was a priority debt on the land that Trump wanted. And if he could pay the loan, then he could preempt Trump's contract. So what he did was he wired $42.9 million, showed the trustee.
So casual. Became
the owner of the site. And in addition to the site, he got 66 acres of a meadow across town.
Literally, that is, he was like, oh, fuck you.
I mean, mic drop, right?
Mic drop. And it was like, I mean, think about like all the times, even in like the campaigning and shit, when this Trump was like, no one's ever beat me. Like, I've never lost a deal. And it's like, I'm here to tell you that Gigi's dad actually beat you once.
Although that was like that was a win for Mr. Hadid. There were some losses that came with it in the late 80s. Hadid had also been accused of doctoring financial statements and claiming that his net worth was $71 million, but listing assets he didn't own, like a jet. And other things.
But you know what? Typical. And like, I'm not gonna fault you for that. Like, it's none of my business how you get the Ritz into Aspen. Just get it out of Scottsdale and into Aspen. Okay. Okay. So in 1991, the year I was born, that's crazy.
I know.
You know,
it goes to show how. What was that?
You know, Turtleneck Girl from CNN was born in 92.
Ugh.
That's like, she's a bebe.
Bebe. But not really, because she's 1 year younger than you.
But she's also a full-grown adult. I mean, it's crazy. I love Turtleneck Girl. Okay, so it's 1991. I'm born, and Mohamed Hadid and the brother-in-law of the Saudi king are in a huge falling out over the hotels that they own together. Shocker. The brother-in-law is trying
those are the terrorist hotels, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yes.
Allegedly.
Alleged. Yeah. Whoa. Don't want to do that again. So then the brother-in-law is trying to remove Hadid as a partner in these hotels in Washington, New York, and Aspen. Now, here's the deal. If I were Mohammed and someone was trying to remove me from the Aspen hotels, I would be pissed because I'd be like, you would never have had that hotel if it weren't for my quick thinking and $42 million wiring skills.
Exactly.
I mean, that's ridiculous. But they accused Mohammed of misappropriating funds and allowing budgets to skyrocket while they were building these things and holding like the records of the business hostage and mismanaging the ventures. And it's like, probably. It
sounds like
okay.
Yeah. Sounds like
Probably.
a clusterfuck.
Yeah. So Mo, which is the only person that I think we should ever refer to as Mo, is Mohamed. Because like Mauricio, no. But Mohamed asked the court to...
Wait, really quickly, can we just like a brief segue? Does it bother the shit out of you when Dorit and PK call him Mo?
It bugs me so much because it feels
much.
like... I don't know. It just feels
It's
like...
a hijack nickname?
Yeah. Or just like a not fitting one. I don't know. Like, I don't think I would call him Mo. I'd call him like Reetz. Hey,
Or
Reetz.
sexy.
Hey, Reetzy boy.
Sexy Reeds.
Mr. Chest Hair.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Wow, we got distracted. We got distracted.
I mean, it's not that hard. Okay, so Mo asked the court to order the real Mo asked the court to order the Aspen partnership dissolved, but put him in charge of presiding over the sale and the winding up. And then he accuses the brother-in-law of not keeping enough money flowing to the project. You know, it's like just the back and forth of like, well, I didn't mismanage it. You didn't give me any money to do this. And like that delayed it for a year. And now you owe me $6 million. And also $92 million. Like, where do these people get all this money?
It just sounds like too many cooks in the kitchen.
It's way too... And you know what? It's too many, like, chefs in the kitchen is what it is.
Yeah. Executive chefs.
Executive chefs. It's like there's a reason you could have one. Like, I just don't think you should have two chefs in a kitchen just based on my below deck experience.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine. Okay, so the brother-in-law was like, fuck you, Mohamed, and sued Mohamed and was like, you know what? We're suing you. We're keeping this lawsuit going with this Aspen shit. And then 1992 happened.
Do you want to pause really quickly? Do you want to do 1992? Because I'm going to go into the Strata estate. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so in 1992, Riggs Bank sued Columbia First Bank chairman Melvin Link. And you're like, who cares, right? But Melvin, like, we don't care. Melvin was a partner of Hadid in a project in Washington, D.C., where Mohamed defaulted on a loan. So
not a default.
Not a default. So, yeah, I mean, it's just another instance of, like, another man not paying his bills. And it's like, pay your bills. PK. I don't understand how people with so much money can get away with not paying their bills.
It's because they just move stuff around. They make it so complicated.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. So anyway, they had to do this whole lawsuit and they ended up settling it. And because of the settlement and the money that Hadid had to pay, poor little rich boy had to close his DC office. Aww. And he lost his home in foreclosure and he packed up his bags and he left Washington, DC for Beverly Hills. But before he gets to Beverly Hills, he obviously makes a pit stop, right?
Okay.
And the pit stop he makes is into the Winter Olympics, where he competed representing the country of Jordan in speed skating.
You're lying.
I'm not lying. I'm dead ass serious.
We need to find that video and we have to upload it onto our Instagram. Yeah. I need to see Mohamed Hadid in a unitard with skates and one of those pointed helmets, moving his arms back and forth, back and forth.
Like Apollo Antonono?
Yeah.
That's so
that's
funny.
That's gonna be his new name.
Yeah.
Apollo.
Apollo Antonotto. He's the only person who's ever represented Jordan in the Winter Olympics. I mean, because think about it. It's like a desert. I don't think they have ski slopes in Jordan.
And we know this for certain because I would like some type of photographic evidence. And after just a very limited Google search, I do not see photos of him.
Did you type Mohamed Hadid Winter Olympics? Or what did you type?
I typed in Mohamed Hadid speed skating. Oh, we do. I don't see a photo of him actually, taking laps around the rink, but I do see a photo of him with his skis.
Right, and like a mountain behind him, which doesn't make sense because speed skating doesn't involve skis. Are you
I'm going to call BS on this until I see photographic evidence or something in the
that's
Olympic, I don't know, book of athletes.
You know what? That is totally fair. And when you find it, let me know because I'm just reporting the news here. Don't shoot the messenger, Or what
Heather
is it
DeBrose.
that Heather... Shoot the messenger.
Shoot the messenger. When she said that, I was like, what are you doing?
And I was like, no, that doesn't make any sense. What does that mean? Like, I don't get it. What was the point of that? Like, let me give you another piece of advice. Shoot the messenger. It's like, why? I don't get that. Like, why change the slogan after all these years?
Heather DeBrose could have been my criminal behavior this week as well.
She's always my criminal behavior.
She's so pretentious and tacky. But again, here we are getting totally distracted.
Well,
sorry.
Can we continue distraction for just one more second? Because sorry, you guys. Like, I haven't taken my Wellbutrin today, so I'm a bit all over the place, and I'm kind of hungover. So we might be on tangent, road today. But, oh my God, I forgot what I was going to tell you. I'm not kidding. I'm I'm dead serious. What was I going to tell you?
I don't know. Maybe we'll come back to you as we're recording.
Okay. Oh, I remember. I looked up Terry Dubrow on the court website, and I found a bunch of his complaints and stuff, over people suing him over medical malpractice, and there's some small claims court issues for random
we'll have to cover that
statements. Yeah, so that's going to be fun to dig into. But anyway, so now that I've remembered that.
Yeah, but now that you bring up Terry, I'm going to spiral because what is going on with his face?
Oh my God.
When it graced our screen for the first time in however many years, because I don't watch his botch show with the other doctor, but it looks like something maybe in the eyes. Or do you think he has filler?
I think it's his cheeks. I feel like he got... Okay, you know those inserts that you used to get in the Victoria's Secret water bras that were
Yeah.
Little... It looks like someone put that in his cheeks. As an implant on his cheekbones because those are very high up.
Well, she has very high cheekbones as well. I thought it was his eyes. Something was very off. But
you know what it gives me?
What?
It gives me Kenneth Copeland vibes.
Who's that?
The cult leader, Kenneth Copeland, the Jesus Church guy.
Oh, God.
Okay, so anyway, he moves to Beverly Hills in 1992, which is so exciting because this is how... this is just how we come to know him. And this is really we're happy that he's gotten through all these, creditors and lawsuits and going up against Trump and winning. Fuck yeah, Gigi's dad. So now he's in Beverly Hills and he develops this mansion called the Le Belvedere Mansion. And that's the big one that I was telling you about.
This is the one that we saw on Real Housewives.
Yes.
Where Kyle Richards does the splits.
Kyle does the splits everywhere.
But I think that was our first time we were ever introduced to her splits.
I think so too. Wasn't she on a full table? She was on a table doing the splits?
I just remember her doing it.
And spinning that ponytail?
Yeah.
Like the Peloton girl on Danny Pellegrino's meme. That was so funny.
So funny.
Okay, so he develops this huge mansion. Oh, and this is where Gigi had her birthday party, remember? And Yolanda was like, you can't have that cake. Like, just have one or two bites of the cake. Like, and it was Gigi's birthday cake, but she told her, like, she could only have, like, one or two bites of this cake because she had to go shoot for gas.
Oh, and sweetie, just have a couple almonds.
Just have a couple almonds. Chew them really good. So then it was, he decided to sell it. It was just time. He needed to move on. So it was listed by Hilton and Highland. Our favorite girl, for $58 million.
Wow.
Yeah. And
I
then
wonder what he bought it for.
Well, he built it from the ground up.
Oh, duh. I wonder how much it costs.
I do too. That's a good question. Well, I guess that Moroccan room where Kyle did the splits was completely built in Morocco, every single part, and then deconstructed and shipped here. Okay.
That is just so pretentious and just insane.
Okay, here's my question.
But I guess you do you. You do you.
My question for Mohamed is, what was the size of the shipping vessel that room came
They
in?
break it apart.
Okay, no, because I'm just saying Heather Dubrow, remember her chandelier came in the biggest one ever to America.
Yeah, that to me was so hard to believe. I'm like, there are so many...
It's like, shut up. The Statue of Liberty came here, and it's way bigger than your fucking chandelier. God,
Stupid.
she's so annoying.
You know what?
So
Maybe
triggered.
We might have to do a poll and just get on our Instagram to get a gauge of where our viewers are at and listeners are at in terms of Heather, because Lauren and I despise her. And if this is a common consensus, then maybe we should do an episode on Heather.
Well, here's the deal. When Classic Skytops and I did the trial like a while ago, if we were excited if Heather was coming back, it was like 50-50. Like, people are... So, and then we went live, Classic Skytops and I went live the other day, and people were like, we love Heather. This was the best. Like, we love seeing her house. And I'm like, yes, I love seeing her house.
Yes.
I get the appeal. I get the thing with the ice. I hate the inside of the house. It looks like a safe house. Like, it's just scary. It's all gray.
It looks like an industrial park to me.
Yeah.
It's so big. And I just... Okay, anyways, we'll save that.
They should have taken tips from Mohamed because...
Yeah. At least his house had some character to it. Okay, so anyways, now we're going to talk about the lawsuit that everyone's really knows about. It is that lawsuit with the Beverly Hills mansions. Hadid had approval to construct the mansion in Bel Air, and it was the estate on Strada. How do you say it? Vecchia Road?
I was calling it Strada Vecchia.
That's probably right.
I mean, it just sounds Italian to me.
Yeah. So in December 2015, the Los Angeles City Council voted to pursue criminal charges against Mo for violating local zoning laws. And so let's have a little bit of background, right? So he built the house contrary to multiple planning orders and made it twice the permitted size. So jumping forward to the lawsuit that was brought by the neighbors that lived down the hill. So the neighbors had filed a lawsuit in June 2018 claiming that Hadid illegally carved thousands of cubic yards of his Bel Air hillside mansion and spent 7 years building massive concrete structures, essentially a small hotel without the necessary permits and in brazen defiance of numerous citations and stop work orders. And so the neighbors also claim that the home left them in constant fear and ruined the serenity of their downhill properties and crippled the real estate values. And so after they filed this lawsuit, Hadid came back and filed a countersuit that was ultimately dismissed, but he alleged that the plaintiffs tried to extort him for $3.5 million after researching his celebrity pedigree. That made me laugh out loud.
I mean, that is pretty funny because it's like, aren't the people who are his neighbors like the lady who like owns Walmart?
Yeah. Do you think they Googled his Winter Olympic career and were just like, we need to sue this man?
They were like, this guy definitely has $350,000 to his name.
Yeah.
That I need.
So they really sued him for private nuisance and public nuisance, and also for malice. And so just a little background of what private nuisance is. Go ahead.
I was going to ask, like, what is the difference between, like, public and private? And, like, is a nuisance just, like, a bug in your ear, you know?
No. Okay, so private nuisance is a private nuisance that obviously occurs to one plaintiff, whereas a public nuisance is like a community nuisance that affects the community as a whole. So, and that makes sense because there were multiple homes that were saying, hey, look, we can't enjoy the serenity of our property because of this monstrosity that is up the hill from us. So the private nuisance claim, the elements that you have to prove is that that the plaintiff had suffered some type of harm based on the defendant's nuisance. So to establish that, we have to prove that the plaintiff owned the property, which we know because they were the neighbors, and that the defendant, by acting or failing to act, created a condition or permitted a condition that exists that was harmful to their health, indecent or offensive to the senses, or an obstruction to the free use of property, so as to interfere with the comfortable enjoyment of their property. And there's some other elements too, but that's kind of like the gist of what these neighbors are saying. Like, hey, look, this thing is so big that, like, we can't even go out into our backyard and sip a glass of wine without being disrupted because there's constant construction going on that's in violation of zoning laws. So here the plaintiffs have to show that Mohamed Hadid's conduct was either intentional and unreasonable, unintentional and reckless, and that the conditions substantially interfered with their enjoyment of land, and that an ordinary person would reasonably be annoyed or disrupted or disturbed by what Mohamed was doing, and that you have to prove that obviously they didn't.
They're saying the whole house is a nuisance, or just the build, like the construction, like, because your neighbors are going to do construction, like,
yeah.
So what's the part that is annoying them?
So this is the part where it has to be that an ordinary person would reasonably be annoyed or disturbed by the defendant's conduct, and it has to be something far beyond that of just a common annoyance, I guess. Like, you can't file a private nuisance because somebody's utilizing their property, like playing drums in their backyard. It's got to be something more. It has to be substantial, and it has to be enough to cause
substantial.
It has to be enough to cause the plaintiff harm. It was because he was violating multiple zoning laws, and I think he even pled guilty to a misdemeanor, right, for the construction.
Yeah, he was. He pled no contest, but they found him guilty, and he had to pay like something silly, like he had to pay $14,191 to the city of LA, and he was fined $3,000, and then he was put on 3-year probation, like to ensure that the property would get up to code, and then if it wasn't, he'd go to jail for 180 days.
Oh, so wild. Yeah. And so the legal problems really arose from the permitting, like we said. So I guess it was originally slotted to be a 15,000 square foot property or house, and he doubled it. So it turned into a 3,000 square foot, and he 30. Didn't receive 30, Jesus. 30,000 square foot property. And of course, like, I think rightfully so that the neighbors would be pissed. Wouldn't you be pissed?
I think if the house were like 2 times bigger than it was allowed to be, yeah.
And it was just this monstrosity that was built, and I think there was like a retaining wall.
Yeah. The Walmart heiress, Nancy Walton Laurie, she had her tree roots all fucked up by Mohamed. Like, she had this big eucalyptus tree, and that got fucked up. He allegedly fucked up some neighbor's retaining wall. And like, the construction was going to make the hill fall down in the rain.
Yeah, and I think there was just, it kind of sounds, just based on reading the complaint and stuff, that there was a reckless disregard for other people's safety. And so this, you guys, went to trial, and after 6 weeks of trial and 4 days of deliberations, the jury found that Mohamed was liable, and the plaintiff sought $26 million in damages. The jury rejected the fraud and malice claim, And that would have given them an opportunity to acquire more damages because there was some type of intentional or harmful act. And so the jury's decision was a 9-3 split decision, and they awarded the plaintiffs $300,000 in damages. That was the Bedrosian plaintiffs. That's what their name was. And then the RHOBH plaintiffs, they were awarded $317,000 in economic damages. And then they got $2 million for pain and suffering.
Wow.
Yeah. So emotional pain and suffering that was caused as a result of this construction. But the interesting part is that they had incurred, the plaintiffs together had incurred over $9 million in legal fees trying to prosecute the case. Yeah. And so Mohamed came out of this trial like, okay, this is a great win because one, they spent more money on attorney's fees than they're going to be awarded. And then also, two, the jury did not find that there was any fraud or malice. And so they can't acquire punitive damages. And so he kind of walked away. Yes, it was, he was liable, but it really...
Better off than he could have been.
Yeah. Yeah. But so LA County civil jury returned with a finding that he didn't act with malice. And the majority of so the way that the jury found the liability is they divided it between Hadid is 70% personally liable, and then his company is responsible for the other 30%. And then the court found that the mega mansion was a danger to the community and ordered it to be torn down.
Oh my God. That is so much money. No. Oh my God.
The resources.
I mean, and this is a guy who like has things like built from, you know, like Egyptian hand carved, like, from a pyramid shit, you know?
I just think about all those construction workers who put in all that time, hard labor, working around the clock, and then to see it be torn down. My question to you is, what do you think got into his head? Like, why do you think he decided, hey, I'm going to double the size of this mansion?
I think it's ego. I think he was just like, oh, yeah, sure, we can have a bigger closet. Yeah, sure, we can have this. Yeah, sure, we can have that. And then you add all these things on the inside of the house, and the outside's going to get bigger. And also, like, he was probably thinking, why the hell not? Like, I've built massive, massive hotels and massive homes and, like, pinnacle estates in Beverly Hills. He's like, I'm going to do it again, maybe.
Was this his personal home, or was there a potential buyer that was going to buy this?
So I think this was going to be his personal home.
Could you imagine if that house was built and it slid off that hillside?
No. Oh my God.
And just crumbled?
No.
And for people that don't live in California, we have earthquakes all of the time. I shouldn't say all the time, but they're...
Like, no one ever feels them, but unless they're big.
They happen often enough that there's so many restrictions on what you can build on a hillside, what you can build on a cliff, like... And it's just such a reckless disregard for people's safety. Like, I can't... It's almost delusional. It's like he had a dream, and then he woke up and was like, I'm doing it, and I don't care what's going to happen. Like, he was criminally prosecuted.
I know. He was, like, absolutely digging his heels in, too. Like, he's been quoted saying, like, Beverly Hills will fall before this house does.
No, the house is going to fall.
It's like, well, I don't know. The judge said it's going to get falling.
Somebody is going to put a stick of dynamite in that thing, and it's going to blow up.
Oh, yeah.
Also, like, what happens, though? Think if they're tearing it down, because it's this huge monstrosity, and what if something happens to the neighbors down the hill during the teardown?
Oh, my God. Well, now they're going to tear it down, and it's going to be a big, empty hill that's already dangerously unsupportive.
Yeah, I wonder if he'll have to go back in. I wonder if the city is going to make him go back in and
restore it.
Re-engineer the hillside. Because what if he did permanent damage to that hill?
Oh my God. That'd be so crazy.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
But unfortunately, that is not the last legal issue that Mr. Hadid is faced with.
No. Of course not. As a typical rich, wealthy man,
He's also in 2017 accused of date rape and illegal payroll practices.
Wait, really? Wait. What happened with that date rape accusation?
So that was all resolved, but I just don't feel like we should get totally into that because it's just been such a heavy week with like the Duggar, etc. Don't you think?
I agree. It's too much, and we are going to be doing an updated debriefing because
so much
justice happened.
So much justice happened, and we just hope that, you know, the girl that made these allegations is happy and healthy moving forward, getting the therapy she needs, and is living a prosperous life.
Yeah, and really, you know, coping and being successful. And we support
Probably
you.
because I'm sure there was some type of financial settlement. Oh, that's just speculation.
I hope.
Speculation.
Okay, so then also in a differently sort of sad thing, he was accused of illegal payroll practices. Ooh. And he was sued for unpaid overtime by this guy named Juan Carlos Gonzalez.
Good for you, Juan Carlos.
I know. Good for you, Juan Carlos. So Juan Carlos says that he worked 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. Okay, like a nurse, but even extra. He was like on like his payroll.
Oh.
Yeah, and so he was saying that like, hey, you haven't paid me overtime, like for any of the days I worked over 8 hours and didn't get a break, like all this stuff, like no, none of that. So he was asking for $496,000, like
for his damages, and he was awarded $273,000. So
at least there was some.
There was some, and that just goes to show you, like, I mean, he recovered more, like about half of what he asked for. Like, clearly the guy, you know, was illegal payrolling.
You also have to look at probably the attorney's fees. I'm assuming it was a contingent on some type of settlement. So the attorney probably walked away with like 13% of that $273,000. But good for you, Juan Carlos. Way to stand up against.
Good for you, Juan Carlos. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of. I think there's just a lot of ego in Mr. Hadid. Lots and lots of ego.
There's a lot of ego, like at a certain. I mean, you have to have like an ego to be that wealthy.
Do you ever think, like, what was it like? Do you ever think how odd of a couple Yolanda and Mohamed are, or were?
You know, yes and no, because I feel like Yolanda was like a really hot and like a supermodel, you know, and like she's so like wifey that I can see why like she would enjoy being wifey to this guy who would like seems like he would totally enjoy being wifey too, you know?
It's just nuts how much money he has and how much money that entire family has, because you have Bella Hadid, Gigi Hadid, who are successful in their own right. I think the brother's a model too.
Yeah,
and then Yolanda's rolling in a dissolution from what's his name?
David
Piano
Foster.
Man? Yeah, so she probably got a nice little chunk from David Foster.
I hope. It's weird that he's with Catherine McPhee.
It is, but it's also not.
Okay, why not though? Because I think it is.
Because they're both like so involved in the musical industry. The music industry, and they're both. I think they both complement one another, and that's me saying that without knowing anything about either of them.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Besides David Foster's stint on Real Housewives and Catherine McPhee's stint on American Idol. That's about all I know. But they look compatible. And I think Yolanda's moved on to some businessman beau.
Oh, yeah, I think so too.
Living in Pennsylvania on her farm.
Big old farm.
far away from Zayn as possible.
Ooh, yikes. Go check out our Zayn and Yolanda Hadid episode.
That was a good episode.
That was so insane.
That was shocking. And I was thinking about that the other day. I wonder what the status of their relationship, like that whole family's relationship is.
I know. I wonder too. I don't know. Like
are they
co-parenting? Have to work it out. They have to work it out. They live together.
But do they now? I would have bet that they probably live separately.
Okay, if they have such a big farm, why don't they just build 2 houses?
Yeah.
Like
Get
you're
Mohamed
rich and you have a bunch of space. And
get Mohamed in there, build up a little granny flat, not on a hillside.
Little mega mansion.
And we're good to go.
Okay, so what do you take away from this whole Mohamed thing? Like, what do you think? Like,
I think that he is extremely smart. He's very motivated, clearly. I think he had a very successful career in his early life, and that's where obviously he acquired a lot of his money. And I think he just got messy as he got older. Once he got kind of famous, his daughters got famous, Yolanda, I think there was just a level of messiness that was exposed.
Like a little ego boost.
Don't love the terrorist link, but What about you?
I was a little bit surprised because I had no idea like who Mohamed Hadid was other than like a friend of Lisa Vanderpump and Gigi's dad, you know? So, yeah.
Do you think Lisa and Mohamed are still friends after the whole Lyme disease thing?
I think so, yeah. Because I feel like Mohamed shares the same feelings. Like, from what I can understand, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say the accusation on the air,
No,
though.
don't.
Live on the air. But yeah, I mean, I was just surprised. Like, I'm kind of proud of Mohamed for like, literally like every single time someone was like, oh, nope, you owe us money or we're going to sue you or we're going to do that. He's like, okay, and I'm going to recover and do a big house and a bigger house and this. Like, he comes back bigger and better. So I'm excited to see how he's going to recover from this. Hopefully he acts right.
Do you think he had to file for bankruptcy at any point or in the later years? Because
I feel like he just did file for bankruptcy.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But I wonder what his net worth is. I'm assuming very high because he owns all of those properties.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, for God's sakes, he has a Ritz-Carlton in Scottsdale.
I know. I mean,
that is
Scottsdale,
so
like the spa destination in Arizona.
Yeah. But, okay, well, that's our episode, guys. Hope you liked it. Touched on Mohamed Hadid. Probably going to upload some photos to our Instagram of Mohamed Hadid's paintings. Give you a little update on whether or not he was truly in the Olympics.
The paintings are mind-blowing. Like, for real.
Yeah. But again, also kind of questioning that as well. I'm just a doubter.
You are a doubter, but that's okay. Okay, so you guys, go head over to our Instagram page and our Twitter page at Allegedly Bravo. Our website is www.allegedlybravo.com if you're 13 years or older with parent permission. Just kidding. That just reminded me of from Nickelodeon. Okay, and then our Patreon page, we have a bunch of tiers over on Patreon. We have like our $1 tier where we'll send you a little newsletter every month, and that's just like thanks for supporting us. We have a $3 tier where you can get these episodes ad-free. I mean, amazing. And then like a $5 tier, $20 tier, etc. So shout out to our VIP patrons, Mr. or Mrs. Smith, Classic Skytops, Wendy Beth, and CK. And coming up, like, do you know what our next big episode is?
What?
The White House Party Crashers.
You're right.
I'm so excited to talk about that.
I'm so excited to talk about that. And we are finally going to do a breakdown of the Giudices.
Yes. Oh my God. It's about time.
I know, but we thought we'd go a little lighthearted with the White House wedding crasher talk. Because I don't know how many people, maybe we can do a poll on our Instagram of how many people watch DC.
Yeah.
And how many people remember the low classness of that show.
Oh my God.
Anyways, we will see you guys next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye.